Imagine finally buying the sprawling ranch you've always dreamed of, acres of open sky and rolling pasture, only to discover something rotten buried beneath it. That's exactly what happened to me. I was just a straightforward rancher. Or at least I was, until the day I uncovered a pipeline running under my land. A pipeline that had no business being there. I started digging, both with a shovel and through old records, and what I found made my jaw tighten. The local Homeowners Association had quietly installed that line straight across my property to supply water to their polished new subdivision. No permission, no easement, not a word to the former owner, and certainly not to me. Oddly enough, my first reaction wasn't fury. It was curiosity. Where was the water even coming from? I followed the line back, step by step, until I reached its origin, a natural spring just beyond my boundary fence. And wouldn't you know it, the parcel of land with that spring was up for sale. That's when a slow, mischievous smile crept across my face, and an idea began taking shape. It was risky. It would eat up a serious portion of my savings. But the chance to teach that smug HOA a lesson was too tempting to ignore. So I did it. I bought the parcel, every inch of it, including the spring. For a few weeks, I said nothing. I let the water keep flowing toward their emerald lawns and sparkling swimming pools, fully aware that I now controlled the source. Then one bright Tuesday morning, I decided the waiting was over. I drove out to my newly acquired patch of land, located the main valve, and with a deep, groaning creak of metal, I shut it tight. The water slowed to a sputter, gurgled weakly, and then stopped altogether. Silence. Back at the ranch house, I settled into my routine and waited. I didn't have to wait long. A plume of dust rose along the horizon, signaling an approaching vehicle, and it was coming fast. A gleaming luxury SUV barreled up my driveway, gravel flying, brakes screaming as it skidded to a stop. Out stepped a woman who practically radiated authority and outrage. Let's just call her Karen. She had the sharp haircut, oversized designer sunglasses, and a face twisted with unfiltered anger. "What do you think you're doing?" she shouted, storming toward my porch. "You turned off our water. That's theft. I'm calling the police." I simply leaned back in my rocking chair, took a slow sip of lemonade, and replied, "Ma'am, I believe you're standing on my property." That only poured fuel on the fire. She yanked out her phone and dialed 911, voice trembling with dramatic indignation. "Yes, officer, I need assistance immediately. A man has stolen our community's water supply. He's cut off water to hundreds of homes." She paced furiously, painting me as some sort of deranged outlaw siphoning away civilization. I just sat there, enjoying the sunshine and the show. This was better than I'd pictured. About 20 minutes later, 2 police cruisers rolled up my long dirt drive. The officers stepped out carefully. Karen rushed to them, jabbing a shaking finger in my direction. "That's him. He admitted it. He shut off our water. Arrest him." One officer, calm and seasoned, approached me. "Sir, we receive a report that you tamper with the local water supply. Care to explain?" I stood, setting my glass aside. "Afternoon, officer. There's a misunderstanding here, but not on my end." I motioned toward Karen, who looked ready to combust. Her HOA installed a pipeline through my private property, without any legal easement. They've been taking water that, as of a few weeks ago, I legally own. Karen exploded. "He's lying. That water line's been there for years. It belongs to us." The officer studied us both. "Sir, do you have proof of ownership, both of the land and the spring?" That was the question I'd been waiting for. "Yes, I do." I retrieved a thick folder from inside the door. "Here's the deed to this ranch. And here," I added, producing another document, "is the deed for the adjoining parcel containing the spring that feeds their pipeline, all properly recorded with the county." He read through the paperwork carefully while his partner leaned in. Karen's confidence visibly drained with each passing second. Finally, the officer handed the folder back to me and turned to her. "Ma'am, he's within his rights. This is his land, and according to these documents, it's his water. He's free to shut it off if he chooses." The color vanished from her face. "But what about our homes? Our families?" "Ma'am," the officer replied, "this is a civil matter not a criminal one, and you're currently trespassing. I suggest you leave before he decides to press charges." He glanced back at me. "Sir, would you like to file a report?" I looked at Karen's defeated expression and shook my head. "No, officer. I just want her illegal pipeline off my land for good." The officers escorted her back to her SUV. She shot me one last venomous glare before speeding away in another cloud of dust. The cruisers followed soon after. The quiet that settled over the ranch was pure bliss. The fallout was even sweeter. The HOA tried to fight back, naturally. Lawyers sent stern letters filled with threats. My attorney responded with copies of the deeds and an invoice for years of unauthorized land use, plus the cost of removing their pipeline. They attempted to sue for water rights, but the case was dismissed almost instantly. The judge practically chuckled, pointing out that you can't claim legal rights to something you've been taking without permission. The subdivision had to truck in water at outrageous expense. Property values sank. Residents turned their anger not toward me, but toward the HOA board that had overstepped so recklessly. The entire board, Karen included, resigned in disgrace. Eventually, they were forced to overhaul their entire water infrastructure and pay me a hefty settlement for trespass and damages. And me? I returned to my porch, watching my cattle graze peacefully across the land I defended, savoring the most satisfying glass of lemonade imaginable. Sometimes the smartest way to handle a bully isn't to meet them head-on. It's to buy the very ground they stand on. Thanks for hearing my story. Let it be a reminder to always know exactly where your property lines lie. And if you enjoyed this tale from the ranch, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.